Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Wednesday lighting critique. Welcome to the first day of September. Thank you for all those that submitted the lighting challenges for last month. We are in the process. Actually, let me go ahead and pull this in. We are in the process of creating a brand new lighting challenge starting from September into October. We've got a very cool thing. We worked again with the Griffin Academy to create. They created an animation of. I'm sorry, I didn't have this loaded already. It is a lovely tiger animation, which I'll show you here in a second. We're just cleaning up the file right now. Basically, we had a problem with the material files and a problem with the Alembic file we exported, where like the eyeballs and the teeth didn't go along with the tiger. Instead of giving you the temp files and giving you the broken files now and then replacing them later, we're just going to hold off a couple days until they can get that cleaned up. But here is the animation. If you haven't seen it already, I think it's like it's one of those things that usually when you think of like a great animation, you think of like big movements and like fights and cool stuff, but like this is just like really subtle professional level animation, and that's why I got really excited about it. I also thought from a lighting perspective it was really cool because it gives some different opportunities. There's some real challenges in there. A couple things are like the fact that this is pretty wide open back here. Like, how are you gonna visually either mask that or fill that in? Like, is it just gonna be like moonlight that's really centered around one area? Speaking of moonlight, now we have different times of day, we have different environments. You can really do whatever you want with this. There's opportunities for pockets of light to creep through these trees and light up to create a light pocket here and then another one at the end. It's really cool, and the file itself that I've opened and messed around with, it's not that heavy with all this stuff in it. It's actually not that bad. So hopefully this is a fun challenge. Like I said, it's animation, so it's how many frames? A lot of frames. 400 frames. So it's going to take a little while to render. That's why we're giving you 2 months. It's also just like a tricky thing, so we wanted to give you all enough time. That being said, if you want to just work with a still, you are more than welcome to do that. It's really just trying to give you all some freedom to play around with it. So, and we'll announce the winner of the lighting challenge on Friday. Okay, so we've got 2 animations and some still images to go through. I wanted to start here with Ashley's update. So we've got some more shaping on the mouse when the red light comes on. We fixed the depth of field in the background. Ashley, how you feeling about this? You got anything else you wanted to update?
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Okay. Anybody see anything? Well, I'll let this loop through. We're halfway through now. I'll let it through one more time. And anyone, feel free to unmute yourself if you have any additional alterations to this. Silence is good. Everyone better. This is a good time to unmute yourself and get your hands ready. Everyone ready? All right, here we go. All right. Woo! Way to go. That's great. That's my favorite part. All right, cool. That's great. Great. Congratulations, Ashley. This looks great. Everything's looking really well. I know this was a slow burn for you, and I hope you feel good about it.
Yeah, I feel good. Like, I learned a lot from it. So
yeah,
it was like one of the first animations that I did. So it's pretty cool.
It's pretty tricky. It's a tricky job. So you did great. All right. I wanted to hop over to Holly. So Holly is rendering this. I know there's a shadow pass. You mentioned some aesthetic things that you wanted to tweak. So I'm actually going to hold off on giving aesthetic notes until everything's in place, because I don't want to really make any assumptions about certain elements. But I did want to address. Oh yeah, you can see the characters passing through the shadows and stuff. Some general things that you were asking about were in terms of like sample sizes and that kind of thing. By the way, one thing. Sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to do anything visual, but one thing that you really want to look into is the skin color on the characters. It's looking a little washed out and just a little like kind of blue-gray. It would be nice to get some more warmth into their skin tones a little bit. But like I said, I'll hold off on that until all the renders are done. You mentioned, okay, so here's the thing with sample sizes. There is no sample set that will work in every situation. There is a bajillion, roughly, different factors that go into the way that something is rendered. There's the shader qualities, there's the shader samplings, there's the way the light's bouncing around the room, the amount of stronger light, like really, really bright lights will actually create more opportunities for light rays to bounce around, which could potentially create more noise in the image. The color of the lights, like I said, there's compression things that go on. There's just countless things. One of the tools that I found that works really well, and somebody just posted this actually, is I think this is actually officially from Arnold. It's on their website anyway. How do I move this around? There we go. Just right click. Okay. So they have this really great flow chart for dealing with this. And it's basically like a step-by-step thing. So it's like if you have an image that's noisy, first step, check the alpha. Is it noisy and have jagged edges? Just increase the camera samples, cool, and then you move on from there. And then you go through each step. So it's tedious. It really is to be like, okay, is there still noise in this? Okay, yes, I'll continue. I'll increase this until there isn't. But it's just kind of the way it has to be, where you go through step by step. You go through like AOV by AOV. You check to see, you really identify the source of the noise. You increase that value just enough to where that noise goes away. Because like these things increase an order of magnitude. So you can, I really like how Arnold includes these sample numbers up here. So at every time you increasing the diffuse samples from 5 to 7 isn't actually like a factor of 2. It's like doubling, and it goes up exponentially. So it's actually a massive difference between 5 samples and 7 samples. Now the AA, the camera samples, it's even a bigger factor because that's just a multiplier of the diffuse, the specular, the transmission of all of the subsurface of everything. So every time you move that from like 5 to 7, it just skyrockets. So I wish I could give a better answer. If anybody online right now has settings that they use 100% of the time that works great, let us know. But the key is to go through AOV by AOV, layer by layer, and identify where the noise is coming from, increase the appropriate sample amount, increase the appropriate setting, just enough to make it look okay, and then no more, because it can get out of hand pretty quickly. The other thing that I always tell people too, and I only say this because of experience, is that you have a couple, other than sample settings, another really, really great way to control noise is to actually render the image larger than it is. Like if you have a 2K, let's say you have a 1K image, or let's say a 2K image, because that's what most people are rendering at. If you have noise in that, I not only know this, like I said, because I did extensive testing at a job before, where it was like, what is actually more efficient? Is increasing the samples until it's a clean image better, or is increasing the size of the render and making it a 4K image, is that actually better? Because if you take a 4K image and then bring that into your source file and bring that into your comp, scale it down to 2K, and then render it out, it looks a lot cleaner. What we found in not Arnold, but a different renderer that I used, that increasing the size of the render was far more efficient than increasing the samples to the point where you need. So I would say, it's worth it to play around with that for like an hour or two one day and just see, because it'll save render time in the end. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Does anybody else have any additional advice on sample sizes and that kind of thing? It's not great.
I would just say, like, if it's a small, like if it's like, if you feel like it's close, you could always try the denoise in Nuke.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine you guys are doing too much of that in a professional environment, like at a major level, but like.
Oh yeah, we are.
Okay.
There actually is. So like, so one of the things about, and it happened on every show, and every show they acted like it was a new thing. So we would render everything out at 2K. We would make depending on the aspect ratio of the specific films, Rio had a wider one, Peanuts had a more square aspect ratio. We'd render the image out at 2K. About as we neared the end of the process, somebody would look at our average render times and figure out how many computers we had to render on, and then look at the schedule, look at the average render time, look at how many computers we had, and say, oh no, we don't have enough time to render all this. And so we would reduce the quality. We would actually do the opposite of rendering it larger and then scaling it back. We'd actually render it a little smaller and then scale it up. We'd render it about 90% of the final resolution and then just stretch it a little bit. And it was funny because it was always the same solution on every film, but every time it was the same people, and then they pat themselves in the back that no one noticed that they rendered smaller. It was a very funny process. But anyway, render it smaller, you stretch it up, creates more noise, and then that would get passed off to the compositors. And a lot of my job on the film, because I was a lighter who worked in compositing sometimes too with those guys. All lighters composite their own shots, but then what happens is you final render, and then after final render, a finished compositor, somebody with more nuke skills, will pick it up from there. But many of us lighters actually did that job as well. So I would do that too, and then a big part of my job was just cleaning up that noise that from the lower resolution, because we would look at it and we'd have the same issues that you guys would, which is okay, this is really noisy. Oh dang, the render already took this shot took 3 weeks to render. Are we going to really increase the settings, send it back to the farm? That would make it we won't see it back for 6 weeks. We don't have time for that. Hey, compositor, can you clean this up? And you'd be yeah, I guess so. And so you'd have to do a ton of witchcraft in order to get it to work. I have hundreds of shots that I've done noise cleanup on, and it's a thankless job, but if there's actually ways it can be pretty fun too, because within those you can get some pretty cool comp assignments too. But yeah, sorry, that was long-winded. But short answer is yes, we had to deal with that too in a professional setting. So this is definitely an issue that comes up whether you're rendering your own film or something larger. All right, let's hop on over into these still images. Okay, we've got 2 today. Clarissa, you are here, correct? You able to say hi?
Yes.
Hello. How's it going today?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Okay. I actually I hope it's okay. I actually showed this shot to another artist, just because I wanted, because it's a unique look, and I wanted to get a fresh set of eyes on it too, because I've been working with you on this for a little while, and some of the notes, and I was like, what do you think? What would you do differently about this shot, or how would you adjust it? And the first thing I said was I don't believe that the depth of field is right, and mostly because the transition from in focus to out of focus is a little bit sharp. They wanted to see a little bit softer. They also would like to see a little bit of out of focus here in the foreground, and then they like the bokeh. They want to see more of it, and then there's also, I don't have an example of this, but there's also a way of doing there's a technique where basically you basically reduce the game. Okay, so here's what happens. If I take this very bright, these very bright objects right here, and let me copy paste them. If I add a Gaussian blur to it, what happens is, or what can happen is that the highlights can get kind of washed away. Do you see how we lose some of that, the bright central point, and that bright highlight can actually go away. One of the things that you can do, actually, I might be able to do this now. I wonder if I can do this. One of the things that you can do is, if I have this, let me go back to having it blurred up here. One of the things that you can do is a technique of, you can gamma, you gamma the image down. Let's see if I can do these side by side. I'm not quite sure if this will work in Photoshop, but we can try. But basically, the idea is you take the image, you go to adjustments, you cut the gamma in half, then you blur that value, the same amount as the other one, and then you'll take the gamma back up by doubling it. And actually it looks the same here. In Nuke, what it does is it helps you preserve the highlight values. Because what happens is when you're blurring the very brights, it'll actually kind of wash them out a little bit. So if you add a gamma correct before the blur and after the, like where you gamma it down by 0.5 and then gamma it up by 2, sometimes that helps you preserve the highlights within the blur. And then I think it was just like pushing the amount of bokeh blur in the background as well. So that was one. The other one was making the eyes darker, and I thought this was a really good note because the eyes kind of get lost. So if you just take the eyeballs, kind of make them a little bit like pull them out of the local colors a little bit, and just kind of make them more of like a real, I don't want to say jet black, but like make them kind of pierce through the image a little bit so they can read, and make them, because like I just looked at the levels here. There's not much in the very, very darkest points. It's like it's kind of lifted just a touch. So if we made the eyes very dark within this area, it would work really, really well. The other thing I thought was interesting was they read the back, like this line across the bunny's butt, as being a shadow. And they were like, oh, there's a really hard shadow line back there. And I was like, oh, that's actually, a fur thing. And they're like, oh, huh. It doesn't look like fur. And like, it looks like it was just the way that they read it. I was thinking about like maybe saying like, oh, we should adjust that somehow. But I think that was just, it may just be because it lines up with the edge of the wing. Oh, that might be it, actually, now that I look at it. I wonder if, you can, if you want, like sliding it over just a little bit. And then also, like I said, maybe it might do some good to add a little bit of a patch of like the gray stuff in there too. I think that was it. Yeah, but I thought those were really good notes. And sometimes, even like I said, even me as the person critiquing, I could even look at this stuff too much, and so it's good to get some other eyes on it too. So does that make sense to you? How does that feel for you?
Yeah, thank you. I'll try those. I had tried last time to add a random patch of gray fur.
Yeah.
But it kind of looked like a mistake. I didn't really like the look of it, but maybe I can just pull it forward. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, just inch it forward, because I think what throws off the look is just like the tangent line here. Yeah, but I think it was I should say the first comment was, this is super cute, and then it was like, oh, and here are the notes. So like that first and this is not an artist that throws to like. The reason why I asked them is that I knew that they don't blow smoke about images. Like, it's my favorite type of people to work with, who are just like, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better. And then when you do show them stuff and they're like, oh, this is great, or they say this is super cute, you can take them at their word that they genuinely feel that way. Yeah, I think, but overall I thought those were good little notes to add. So, does that work out okay for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
cute is my goal. So
yeah, it's a good goal to shoot for, so that's great. All right, so I mentioned this a little bit offline. This is Stephanie's update. Stephanie has a tough situation. So, quick backstory: Stephanie update, and this is just a story for anyone who's listening to this who learn from other people's misfortune. So Stephanie updated, I believe it was updated her Maya, which, I think it was like in order to do it, she needed to get rid of all of her old program files, download the new ones, install them, all that stuff. She was saving her project files to the Maya directory, and when she deleted and emptied her trash, lost the project file, basically. Right now, she's working with Autodesk. She's asking here. I don't think she's made much progress on recovering any files from that. But as I was saying before we got online, all of us have to go through. Like I can tell, I can sit down with a new artist every day and say, save in iterations, make sure you back up. And I am just as guilty of this as anybody, because actually I have some files that make me think that I should probably back up right now. But it really takes being burned by this in order to really learn your lesson. So Stephanie, I know this sucks. I know it's so frustrating. But there are two silver linings. One, your image is really close, and I think we can get there with just the stuff that we have. It's a good thing you have like some pretty like high quality renders here. And number two is you won't make this mistake again, which I know it sucks on a personal project, but at least you learned it when you like when it's something that you're working on that's for you, that's not like for a client that could make you lose money or a job or something. So I know that that's not much of a consolation, but it helps. Okay, so previous version updated, looking really, really great. So I think I'm just gonna try this. Biggest thing I'm trying to see if we can afford to pull the character out of the kind of green haze just a little bit more, because I think some of that is kind of washing the character out a little bit, and so I think we, if we just maybe just kind of keep it on, and this is just a janky little mock-up. Ooh, I don't like that, but just to get the edges and the main components here, and I think that we can like say something like this background or the character is actually pretty close to camera, so it's going to come out of the green just a little bit more, and that will, like, basically the dark value of the mouth will really help the character pop forward and really kind of stand out to us. Now I think, and I like, it's another iteration further. I think we can even go a step further with the pinky magentaness on the character. I think we can continue to push that. I think we can continue to push the eye color, especially the screen left eye. I know it's gonna feel kind of fake, but I want to make that a little bit brighter. I don't want it falling into like a let's go back to the original. I don't want it falling into like this dark range. I want it to stand out a little bit more. And I think you can probably pull that out in the comp. And if possible, I would make the interior of the mouth, I would just lift that value up just a little bit. Mostly because it's a small character with very translucent skin. The light would kind of pass through. I don't know the anatomy of an axolotl. I'm assuming there's not a lot of bone in there, so I'm expecting light to kind of pass through there a little bit more. I mean, I know I turned up the contrast on it, but just and it would be more of like that kind of warm pinkish tone if you can get a tone. I think the background looks great. I don't really have any notes on the background. But yeah, I think what you said, you have some AOVs and layers and stuff you can work with. I think we can get this to across the finish line with what we have. Does anyone have any notes? Anything that's not can only be fixed in 3D? Yeah, I think this is looking good. All right, cool. That is all for today. That was a lot for just a handful of images, but we had a lot to go over. Do you guys have any questions? Anything else? Anything else you want to discuss before we break for the day? All right. I will see you all tomorrow, and I look forward to it then. Tomorrow, just a heads up, tomorrow is a crazy day. I might have to just do written feedback tomorrow, but I will... I'm trying to move some stuff around in my schedule to accommodate, but more than likely we'll have to do written critiques tomorrow, then I'll be back on Friday. But I will see you all soon, either way. All right, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and enjoy. Can't believe it's September. This is crazy. All right. Enjoy your September 1st, and I will talk to you all very soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, y'all.